Alhamdulillah, ahmaduhu wa asta'inuhu wa astadihi wa astaghfiruhu wa umminu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfaruhu wa ashhadu wa la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu arsalahu bil huda wa din al haq liyadhhiruhu ala din kulihi wallahu kariha al mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is His servant and messenger. Allah sent Him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. And this way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Inna Allah yahmuru bil adli wal ihsani wa ita'i dil qurba wa yanha anil fashai wal munkari wal baghi ya'ithukum la'alakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice and demands good and liberality to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. فَمَنْ يَرِيدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. Those whom Allah in His plan willeth to guide, He opens their breasts to Islam. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا attaqullah haqqa tukatihi wa la tamutuna illa wa antum muslimun. O you believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in a state of Islam. Wa tasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu. And hold fast altogether by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided amongst yourselves, and remember with gratitude His favor on you. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lil nasi tamuruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. You are the best peoples ever raised for mankind, joining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing in Allah. Amma ba'd fa inna asdiqal hadith kitabullah wa awtaqa al-ura kalimatu taqwa wa khayrul milali milatu Ibrahim wa khayrul sunani sunatu Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam wa ashraful hadith dhikrullah وأحسن القصص هذا القرآن وخير الأمور أوزموها وشر الأمور محدثاتها وأحسن الهدي هدي الأنبياء وأشرف الموت قتل الشهداء وأما الأمة دلالة بعد الهدى وخير الأعمال ما نفع وخير الهادي ما أتبع وشر الأمة أما الكلب. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said the most truthful of discourses is Kitabullah, or the Book of Allah. The most trustworthy word is taqwa, or fear of Allah. The best of the communities is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah, the most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. Best acts are those that yield benefits. Worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. The best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The upper hand is better than the lower one. The less which can meet one's needs is better than the more which can call neglectfulness. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Dear believers, alhamdulillah, Jam al-Yad means closed fist. Because all the fingers are together. Salatul Jum'ah means that it's a collection of us that we got together, and technically we should be tight as closed fists. So this is Salatul Jum'ah. It's just an honor and a privilege to be here today, and to also, the community is in a posture of coming out of our period of hibernation, although we have an active period of hibernation. When we're hibernating, we're not like a bear. We're actually setting things up. That's why we had this saying that came from a Negro here in D.C., a setback ain't nothing but a setup for a comeback. In Jahiliyyah, if you was a big Negro, or if you're even in sports, our people are specialists at making comebacks. A guy playing football and he get a little old, and he say, well, I'm going to make a comeback. And a lot of them do. A lot of them, they come on back. Muhammad Ali came back. He came back 3 times. That means he was a champion 4 times. So he was a specialist at making comebacks. His case was especially unique because the government was opposed to him in the earlier years, and they wanted to deny him the championship of the world, because it was a crown that when you wore it, you became a spokesman for that period of time that you was living in because of your expertise and because of your championship. So people listened to you. And when they found out that he was a member of the Nation of Islam, they said, this man has got to go. But he hung on time after time after time. And pretty soon, before he died, way before he died, he was an American hero. Everybody wanted to pretend that I was with Muhammad Ali all the time. Sure. That's why he had to travel around in the 60s with people like Wilma Rudolph, like a circus or a show, to make enough money just so he could eat and feed his family. People kind of forget that, you know what I mean? So this idea of a setback ain't nothing but a setup for a comeback relates to a lot of our historical past. Of course, we all know that sometime the first go around and a championship or being a big winner. The first time we go around is more like training. It's more like training. Everybody's with you. Everybody's down for you. You know what I mean? And you making zillions of dollars and you're spending them all on all your friends and what have you. Then you lose your championship or you go broke or anything like that, right? And then you find out that technically nobody was with you. I mean, they just went away. You don't know where did everybody go? They was all here last week, last month, last year. 5 years ago, everybody was outside my house. Couldn't keep them away. That's because we was a winner at that time. So this thing of a comeback is very popular in our culture and in our history. And it's also popular in Jahiliyyah, like you're a big Negro, you get big, then you... But one thing we found out, just like those rubber balls, when you're young, you throw that ball down, it bounces right back. But the longer our people would go through those changes, you study them and you'll find that after a while, that bounce back, that comeback ability, they begin to lose it. The elasticity, just throwing it down. First, it just bounced right back in your hand. After a while, it don't even get off the ground hardly. We're happy today to talk about this concept of a setback ain't nothing but a setup for a comeback. In other words, a setback, the way we view it, because I had friends, well, I'll call them friends, but some agents that came by, and a couple of years ago, a couple of times they'd travel all around the country with me. In fact, they're kind of like foreigners. And he was letting me know in a way that why the government at that time was taking it easier on me is because just at that time, he was saying that, well, they think that, you're a little older and, and that's about it. So they're just going to cruise. And I was just saying to myself, I sure appreciate that because the thing about it is that's what I was hoping they would think because that's what I was playing for all the time, is that that's what they would think. You know what I mean? That, well, the brother, eventually everybody get a little old, but they didn't realize what we're going to talk about today was what was going on. So a setback ain't nothing but a setup for a comeback. So on Sunday, January the 30th of this year, 2022, from 12:30 to 3:30, we're going to have, a regular program that we have here. So once a month, we're going to have programs between now, especially up to Ramadan. And days like today, you see a lot of people not here, is because we're going around and we're raising funds, with boxes, just say, help us out to do what we got to do. And we'll do that for a certain period of time, and we believe that it will pick up. Okay. These programs are put on by Imam Tufail Strategic Command Center and the As-Sabiqun Liberation Movement and Organization. Imam Tufail Strategic Command Center is something that is becoming right across the street. We own 8 pieces of property. Okay, during this period of what they was thinking would be a setback, if you was a standard Negro, you would lose all your property. You would lose all your property and you would go down. But I had written, I don't know if y'all saw it on some literature, that we're prepared to sleep under a bridge because this was back last month, 2 months ago, we was prepared because we know how the government works. We was prepared to sleep under a bridge. Hopefully it would be during the summer and not right now, but we was prepared for that. Why was we prepared for that? Because when preparation, forethought, and all that is a necessary ingredient to struggling, especially against the system. So across right there, we're going to develop that into Imam Tufail's Strategic Command Center. In other words, that will be the command center for what we're going to do during this period. What we're going to do for the first year or two during this period would be only step one in our whole process. Only step one. That means when we've totally recovered, when we've making certain moves and developing little institutions around here, that is step one in the future process that we have. Okay, so I'll just go on and read what we was going to talk about. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, and He provides for him from sources he never could imagine. And if anyone puts their trust in Allah, sufficient is Allah for him. For Allah will surely accomplish His purpose. Verily, for all things has Allah appointed in due proportion. The part of the surah that as it begins, and He provides for him sources he never imagined. In other words, you struggle for the cause of Allah, Allah will provide for you from ways. It means ways and streets. Some translations call it from. You're going to get help from avenues you never even anticipated. Not only did you not anticipate the help, you didn't even know the avenue was there. And Allah going to help you from those ways. We're certain of that. We have yaqeen on that because we've been doing this particular thing for over 40 years. And any average person would think, man, they've been in a box many times and they have never worked. Allah has always provided a street or avenue or a way out of the things that the whole system built around you to keep you caged in. I'm telling you, it fire you up. So He provides for him from sources. It could be sources, streets, ways he never even imagined. You don't even, this is what tawakkul, that you trust in Allah. That's what tawakkul is. You trust in Allah. You don't have no guarantee. You have all the scriptures that is telling you you're going to get help from all kind of ways. Don't you worry, you go out. But you don't have no guarantee. You can't, it's not a physical thing that you can prove. This is what Iman is. You believe what you've been reading and studying and what you've seen, and you believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala going to hook you up and you get on out there. All right. So now I'm going to begin to read. We developed a mission statement, common goals, which would be supported and achieved by coordinated efforts and an overarching system and structure. We also outlined the minimum characteristics that would be necessary to participate in a functional and dynamic Islamic organization with the aim of establishing Islam firmly on the American continent. So, as it said, we also outlined the minimum characteristics that would be necessary to participate in a functional and dynamic Islamic organization with the aim of establishing Islam on the continent of North America. Now, y'all have witnessed that we went through several processes just here in D.C., not just around the country. And a lot of times, if you looked at it, you would think, hey, man, the brothers did a good job, but like everybody else, they got took out of the box. You know, they got minimized. Well, that's not true. I'm going to tell you a few things as we move along. See, as the longer you work, you can feel old boss man back there. You can tell, you know, when he's messing around, you can feel him back there. Or on that side, wherever he is. Right? You can see him in everything. And you got to remember the forecast, our forecast. Our forecast from decades ago was the decline and fall of the American empire. You know, I'm from Oakland, California, and I want y'all to look on your telephone and just look up Oakland, California, and what it looks like now. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. It's unbelievable. The Oakland that we moved to from the South in 1951, Oakland, California, looks like, well, y'all have seen L.A., right? So what parts of that look like? In L.A., you see big, tall, beautiful buildings, and then you see miles and miles, right, of homeless tents and people defecating on the street, all of that. That's in sunny California. California used to be the place to be, the golden state. Boy, I'm telling you. I mean, them long, beautiful beaches, and I mean, it was just a wonderful place to live. San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, Los Angeles, Oceanside, all those beautiful, go there now. You wouldn't believe it. It reminds me of shanty towns in South America, shanty towns in South Africa. That's exactly what they look like in America right now. And those are just the worst places because, see, everybody wanted to go out there to California because the weather is okay. You may not be happy that the snow this fell, but I sure am. Why? Because by 2 months back, we should have had snow, right? And it should have been cold. Well, let's say at least a month ago. And last week it was 60 degrees and carried on, and you know, and everybody was liking that, you know, t-shirt weather. I saw a few people in shorts. I said, look, I don't like that. Because when I came to D.C. in the summer, it was hot and steamy. But then by the end of September, I started liking it. You know why? Because the humidity kind of went away. We moving into the fall. And right in October, I was laughing, man, this is like California now. Low humidity, you know what I mean? 75 degrees and stuff like that. Not 100 degrees with sweat dripping all off. I said, man, I like this. So that's the part of, I used to like the fall out here because the fall was just like Northern California. Some of the best climate in the United States, technically, is Northern California. Not Southern California, where you see all them beaches, but Northern California. A hot day is 80 degrees. A cold day is 60-something degrees in the winter, right? I mean, where you going to get anything better than that? No humidity. So you like living in Vineland somewhere. Let me speed it up. So, as we grew and expanded as a Jamaat, each of us who have participated in this great mission have acquired a world of knowledge and practical experience. However, we still have quite a ways to go. Our task in the cause of Islam demand that we constantly advance to a ever higher quality of work and action in all areas of our lives, including the moral, ethical, spiritual, and physical dimensions of our being. Islam and our Islamic mission calls for steady improvement. Al-Islah. Al-Islah means to get better, to improve, which will enable us to take full advantage of the right opportunities as they arise in our struggle to make the deen flourish and prosper. However, as we progress from one stage of another, we must also be sure to take account of the need for adjustment and correction. What we're doing is we're studying the whole Islamic process or struggling process in the United States, and we're applying the rules to ourselves. So as we move along, we have to make a course correction. A lot of people just got to rolling, things picked up, and they just kept rolling without stopping, slowing down, taking a look, and analyzing themselves. Of course, we believe that the anchor of our As-Sabiqun is the Quran and the Sunnah. But whenever there's movement in any direction, there's also the real possibility of drifting off course. Not only you drift off course, but here come boss man with a whole lot of things to pull you off course, right? Which can become a major obstacle. This is why we as a community must reconvene from time to time to question ourselves. Where have we been? How have we adjusted? Have we handled ourselves in accord with our own expectations? Expectations. We always study this hadith where it's a hadith Qudsi, where Allah is saying, it's a hadith, but it's a holy hadith. It says, I, Allah, am to the believer as he expects me to be. Right? His expectations of. So, if we expect Allah's hands is tied up, if we expect that Allah can't help us because the white man is too powerful, guess what? You're not going to get no help. But if you expect, and if you know and you believe that Allah can do anything, that means the problem that's so big for you can be overcome by Allah that made everything. Expectations. And we study expectations a lot. So what you expect many times out of life is headed your way. And finally, we are still on the correct course in relation to our original intentions and calculations. Like a ship on a journey, it sets a course. But there's waves in the ocean, there's winds, hurricanes, there's many things, right, that can pull you off course. Every now and then you have to recalibrate, am I on the right course? Am I headed in the right direction? Am I still headed with all these winds and waves, right, and darkness and everything pulling at my ship? Is the ship of life carrying me to where I want to go? All of these are necessary as we collectively engage in the process of Al-Islah, improvement, getting better. Let us reinforce or let us refocus on our mission to prepare ourselves to rise to a new level of cultivation and training in all our endeavors. Let us realign ourselves with a shared purpose and vision. We have learned, however, over time, that not all Muslims share the same hopeful and optimistic picture of Islam in America as we do. We have learned that standing for justice may mean standing alone. Right? That's what you look around. Let's go, boss. We with you. And you look around, whatever it is, whether you're the head of a union, you was going to talk to the boss and tell him, we're not taking this anymore. You look around, ain't nobody there but you. Right? Or if you're in the joint, they got you on the bus because you was one of the leaders in the riot or the rebellion or what have you. You on the bus headed to Alcatraz somewhere. And everybody else, I didn't know that. When they go to the captain's office, they got a new story. So standing for justice may mean you're standing alone. Now I'm going to finalize this by reading a basic message. It has 9 points. We have openly defeated the full force of Zionist Americanism on the battle space of their choice, using a special blend of structured traps based on historical African American culture. We have also involved to totally encircle and suppress the well-equipped, well-armed, well-deployed, and seemingly invincible Zionist American forces. Now, we use Zionist American forces a lot because the Zionists have taken over America. I just want to be brief, but I want to let you know, look, when they put us, I don't have the picture, but y'all remember I showed you pictures of they're putting us out of our masjid in Oakland that we have owned since 1980, 81 or something, right? They can't do that, but they're doing it. Why? Because if you study the Palestinians, many of them, their houses, the deed to their area in Jerusalem and what have you, is from Ottoman times, when the Ottoman Empire, past 1918, way back then, when they used to run Jerusalem in that area. The Zionists today look at those and they say, we don't go for that. And so the Zionists, a lot of the people you see being put out of their homes today, right, are because the Zionists are going and saying that don't matter for modern times, right? So we can tell when the Zionists take over in America, number one, look at when you see the police cars going down the street with the little red lights on, right? Where did they say that come from? That comes from Israel, because now for me and you, we be glad that the police coming with the lights on flickering. We know, hey man, put it in your pocket, right? We glad. We hope they do that. But the Zionists, that's a Zionist policy because they want to keep the Palestinians off balance so much, right, that they want them to know that they're coming. That's a policy from Israel. When you see George Floyd and an American's knee on that man's neck for over 8 minutes, that is a Zionist policy. The head-breaking policy, the back-breaking policy. It's a Zionist policy. You never seen that before in America. The police, if you're in the backyard trying to jump a fence, bam, bam, the police shoot you, we have to shoot him. It's in the dark. Or they took you to jail and beat you to death. or hung you in a cell like they did a couple of times right out here in PG County. But they can't prove nothing happened. But this time, why they got the man with his knee on him for all that time, and he's not moving? It's because the Zionists study, and they selected him by his record. He was selected to do that, right? We said this a long time ago, but he was selected to do that. Who selected him? The Zionists. The Zionists selected him. Okay. Why do we know it's a Zionist? Because of the policy. The policy is worse than being unkind, right? It's unbelievable, right? Unbelievable that they would do that with everybody watching. All right. Let's go on here. We have openly defeated the full force of Zionist Americanism. It used to be on the battlefield, but now it's the battle space, cyberspace. It's not just a place now, right? It's a space. It could be anywhere out there. Right here, we didn't whoop those Zionists. The Americans. Now we're going to war specifically to whoop the Zionists behind. Now you say, anybody look, they'll say, that brother is crazy. It's crazy to stand up for all these years. It's crazy to spend $1 zillion on Negroes and they without wanting nothing back from it. You'd be considered crazy, right? Well, we have defeated the full force of Zionist Americanism on the battle space of their choice. You remember psychological guerrilla warfare? Okay, we defeated them in that. What we're talking about now, we've already done that. Now we're going into a new era. This is a new time and a new era. Using a special blend of structured traps. Everybody, they think boss man is so bad, you can trap him. Once you know him and you got the courage, you can trap that fool. This man is stupid. And he's stupid at a wonderful time. When we getting active, right, he's on the decline. What's happened in the last few years right in front of your eyes? He's run out of this country, run out of that country. He haven't had a victory in decades. Tell the truth, he slaughtered a lot of people, but he has had no victory. Weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, killed all them people, depleted uranium, and the whole world watches him, right? He does a lot of harm, but it's not the old days where he benefits. If he was benefiting, you wouldn't have America looking like it looks today. My goodness, how much it costs to live. The house around here used to cost $10,000, right? And you made enough money to where on your rent you paid 1/4 of your, when we made, let's say like 65, you get a 2-bedroom apartment in California, a nice one, wall-to-wall carpet and all that, brand new, for $100, $110. On your job, you made $400. You see what I mean? So you spent 1/4 of your money on where you live. How many do that now? What you spend half on rent, 60% on rent, and you got $3 left for food. So you got to get a big box of biscuit mix and puffy flour or something, because you can't afford them slim cuts of meat and all of that. You can't do it. All right, let me speed up. Now, this from 1 to 9 is going to sound like we're bragging, but I'm telling you it's true. Is that cool air blowing out of there? Is anybody? Okay. So we have evolved to totally encircle and suppress well-equipped, well-armed, well-deployed, seemingly invisible Zionist American forces. Number two, make a world safe for Islam and Al-Kitab and freedom-loving people. Implement a specially designed Islamic plan of action with black characteristics. Now, as some dummy would say, see, they talking all that black talk. That's not what we're talking about. We're not using Arab characteristics, Palestinian characteristics. We're using Negro characteristics. Why? Because we're in America. And what Allah gave us, we can whoop the cracker day in and day out with what Allah gave us, not with what Allah gave somebody else. Liberate first North America from Zionist control by As-Sabiqun movement forces. Pull the Zionist pants down and give him a public butt whipping. Just whoop his behind in public. Just to say it about Zionists, it's like how to punk the FBI and all that. But when you talk about the Zionists, right, they're more deadly than the FBI and others. More deadly. So they'll say you anti-Semitic by talking about the Zionist. It's going to get a little cool, so I'm going to speed up and wrap it up. I'm just going to tell you that we're on a roll. You just keep coming, and if you don't believe it, just sit and watch. Just sit and watch. Don't help do nothing. Just come in and sit and watch what happened around here. Within a year and a half, we will have reestablished everything in pocket the way we want, and then we're going on from there on out. But what we're going to do right now, what we're already doing right now, right? What we're doing right now already is something to think about. So it says, we're just going to pull boss man's pants down and whoop his behind in public. Because we're psychologically doing it already. If you stand up and talk crazy to boss man, that's one thing, how to punk the FBI. But when you take on the Zionist, you taking on his boss. Yeah, you taking on his boss. I'm telling you. All right. I feel that cool air coming in, so I'm going to speed up. Open and staff Imam Tufail Strategic Command Center right next door. It looks like a house. It ain't going to be that. It's going to be a command center. People going and coming. Record keeping, strategy making, all the things that it takes to whoop boss man, that's what we're getting ready to do. Let me say, we've already done that. First of all, there's all of my friends from the movement days is dead in the penitentiary. They're all dead in the penitentiary. Right? So it's on us. And the people get out of the penitentiary after being in there 30 or 40 years, they ain't got no fight in them. Like all of our friends get out of the pen after that period, they say, well, I done did my part. Plus, when they was overseas or wherever they was, the Negro here didn't help them. Can you imagine you put your life on the line to fight for the Negro, and when you go and need his help, he ain't nowhere to be seen. This is common. All right. Let me speed up. So remember, this is about our program coming up January the 30th at 12:30 to 3:30 p.m. We'll have regular dinner and what have you. We'll have a good time. Okay. use post-traumatic growth as the cornerstone of our Islamic activities. Now, y'all have heard of post-traumatic syndrome, like you go to war and, they use so much stuff on you, you just go through a trauma and you can't get it together anymore. Then they have post-traumatic slave disorder. Anybody heard all of this stuff? It's just the Negro, right? Post-traumatic slave disorder, slavery did black people so bad that when black people get a job, they don't say they money. They go buy some junk. If you want to sell some junk, sell it to the Negro. He'll buy it every time. They done taught him, do not work together. They done taught him, you kill other niggas, right? That's why people, they thought, because they would study, say, like me and Imam Jamil and others, and when they studied those guys, they have a little bit of, not arrogance, but self-esteem. They feel good about being H-Rap Brown, you know what I mean? And they study you. They say, that nigga was Big Hank, and he was this, that, and other. So all we got to do is insult him and assault him physically, and he'll respond. And whoever he gets, we'll know where he been hiding his niggas at. Because can't nothing we do make him make no move that he come out and show his hand. Whoever's with him, them niggas is hid. So they thought in Oakland, if they come out and attack, then I will have to pay back. I've been teaching here for years that the biggest crime is for niggas to fight other niggas. And guess what they do? They all do it. Crips fight Bloods, all of that. We don't do that. We fight Boss Man directly. Boss Man is the one that told them niggas to assault me. He said, that nigga lift iron, he run, he do this, getting a little old, but he believe in protecting himself. Well, they don't study evolution. They thought that because they thought how I was before. They asked my ex-wife, they asked my sons, they said, this guy got a temper, right? That's what they was telling about me. Yeah, hell, 50 years ago, when I didn't have no sense. 50 years ago, not now, right? Not after evolution, not after Al-Islam. And we perpetuated that. We ain't gonna take none of that. But we told everybody, the niggas right there across the street, you could watch them out of the window. If the police come, they throw their guns in the bushes. But when a nigga come, they blow them all away. That ain't good. We don't like that. But we have to go through that so people will know that they're not going to respond. Their movement is not going to respond to elementary first grade bullcrap. So use post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth is you will use trauma, right? Post, after trauma growth. Instead of post-traumatic syndrome where it'll run you crazy, you use it as post-traumatic growth. It helps you grow. It helps you develop. That's what we're doing right now. Yeah, that's a science. Of course, they just started, but we've been down with it a long time. Post-traumatic growth. All the trauma that the government mess with us with, we use it as a elevator to make us or help us develop bigger and better. Post-traumatic growth. We shall continue. No. We seek your shadow clandestine support. Well, you support us With Allah's help, we will give the Zionists a public Negro whipping. See, that's what they did to me. They gave me a Negro whooping. I was whooped to my head. You seen the pictures? What we used to say, nigga, I'll whoop your head till it roped like oatmeal. You look at my head in those pictures. It was roped just like oatmeal. Just like oatmeal. When they whoop a nigga till he came talk, he just, right? So you thinking. One of the brothers come to the hospital, I said, optimism. That's all you need is optimism. What if something happened to you? You got to learn all your farida. You don't even remember how to pray. You can't even pray. Nigga can't pray. You got to figure out what your name is. Nigga, what's your name? You know them tests they do on TV? The doctors ask, where are you at now? You got to put your hand in the pocket. I got slick, though, because in your hospital room, they have all that information written on, this is Mr. So-and-so. What's your name? I look on the thing. I'm looking on the board to know my name. My name is such and such. What's today? I look on because they got all that on the board. They didn't know what I was doing. Then they looked. They said, nigga, you can answer all this because you're looking on the board. I had enough sense to know that I can't remember my name. Couldn't write. Couldn't do nothing. But I knew one thing. We're going to bounce boss man off the walls. Yeah. Going to whoop him till he don't remember. What's your name? I'm American. Yeah, well, bop, bop, bop. What's your name now, sucker? You know, that's the way society is doing him right now. Right? Sunny California looks like a tramp house. The great American troops, they get on a plane, leave Afghanistan, the people's holding on to the plane. The world is saying, man, this guy done blew it. Tell the truth. That's what he said. All right. So, we're going to give the the Zionists, a public butt whipping, Negro style. We're going to give you a nigger whooping. That's what the Zionists deserve. That's what we're going to do. Okay, all of this has already been done to the government. Our existence already shows that what we're talking about is possible because we're here. Ain't nobody else around doing this type of thing. We shall continue to misdirect American Zionism in the direction of designed decline. Designed decline. Remember design fitna, design decline. You design the decline, right, that America is going in. Supported by protractedness and longevity. Remember longevity. What did Martin Luther King say in his last speech? When I've been to the mountaintop and I've seen the promised land. Longevity has its place. That means a long time. But he knew he didn't have time. So when we got in a position of management, we wanted certain things. We studied revolution. Chairman Mao always talked about a protracted struggle. I say American Negroes didn't have a protracted struggle. They had a short-range struggle. From 1965, 1970, the movement was dead. 5 years max. It was wrapped up. You could pack it up and send it somewhere else. It was gone because we didn't have the longevity. We didn't have no revolutionary bases, places to hide. For guerrilla warfare, we didn't know that. We thought we were just going to walk down there and talk bad to the white man and tell him we want our freedom and he's going to give it to us. Well, it didn't work like that. So we studied longevity and protractedness. Protracted, you know, like a protracted thing you use away in long-range struggle. You know, we've been in D.C. for 32 years. No, it is 33 years. Now, to other people, that's a long time. For us, shoot, I'm from Oakland. I'm not from D.C. It was 20 years before I was riding down the street and I said, hey, man, I'm from D.C. You know, I just laid back in the car and said, yeah, I'm from D.C. That's after 20 years of being here. You know, when you say, yeah, this is my town now. I'm a part of this. You know what I mean? It's a good feeling. Before, I was the Imam Musa from Oakland. But after a while, I said, yeah, man, D.C. D.C. is all right. We shall continue to misdirect American Zionism in the direction of design decline, supported by protractedness and longevity. You support us, we will fight for you. That's why very few people here today, we take boxes, we go out, and we're going to raise funds. We're going to raise funds until we finish doing what we're doing. That may be almost forever. We shall be raising funds at various centers for the next several months as we work to liberate the Muslims from Zionist oppression. Support us. We will support you. You know, when we would start going around again, you should have seen the old Negroes, the old stool pigeon tattletale Negroes. They were shocked. They thought them niggas was finished. You know, they were saying, Imam Musa is washed up. And then they see us out there with a loudspeaker talking da-da-da-da-da, and they look like, that's a ghost. That nigga ain't real. Thought that was wrapped up. See, because the tattletale niggas here are generational and transgenerational snitches. The parents is a snitch, or the grandparents was a plantation tattletale. The niggas is tattletale, and their children become tattletales. Transgenerational tattletales, snitches. We don't mind. Everybody should. They can tell on anybody they want. If you got enough sense, you'll whoop boss man's behind, like we doing, of course. You may say that nigga is talking crazy. Well, if we talking crazy, we've been doing it ever since we've been here. Tell the truth. There ain't nothing new about it, and we're still here, right? All right. So I'm gonna move toward a close. So we're dealing with. We ask people to get to be part of this. This Sunday we're gonna be doing a little recruiting. You know, just like participating. Participating in simple stuff like going to other places. Participating in the first stage is raising funds, like the brothers that went to raise funds. So we're going to have a meeting this Sunday, or several meetings. So we would like for you to come and get involved. Okay. Expectations? We done did that. Dear believers, we thank you for at least listening to us. We hope to surprise you. And we almost hope to be around to surprise you. But the idea is the message be around, the movement be around. Not the physical person. So I don't ask a lot that I want to live to be alone, want to be around a long time. No, I just want to do this job. All I can tell you is the best feeling. I have had literally everything anybody can imagine, as far as material, as far as partners and different people, as far as going all around the world 3 times. At least, and talk to everybody twice. That's an old record. And all you can find is thankfulness and a kind of happiness that comes from work. It's not the happiness of having a job. It's not that type. It's a real, you have to try it yourself. So we're not going to necessarily share money with you, but we want to share you the experience of taking on the monster that everybody else is scared of. That's a wonderful feeling. So don't go down to King's Dominion and jump on them rides that's supposed to scare you and all of that. Join this boy here. You want to get scared? I'm telling you. In the first years, the white man will scare you to death. Right? But he can only say boo so many times and you don't stop looking around. After a while, you adjust to your environment. And after a while, after that, you begin to manage your environment. Can you imagine? This talks about design. We've had design fitna. Design fitna is when you choose your own fitna. You want to be stuck right over here with a knife. You say, boss man, stick me right here because that's protected. Guess what boss man do? He ain't got no sense. He stick you right there where you tell him. Design fitna. Y'all remember that stuff 10, 15 years ago? Design fitna, where you design your own fitna. O Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. And we seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful, keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want of what is besides thee. Ameen. Would somebody say Iqama, inshallah? La